be staring at my screen a bit. So if I miss your question, don't worry, I will get to it at the end. But just make sure that you pop in the chat whenever you'd like. And I'm going to turn off my camera and just share my screen quickly. All right. Okay, so hopefully you're seeing my actual SharePoint site. I just created a few test ones just to go through quickly so we can actually see how we're going to utilize some of these features to make your site more user-friendly. So I'm just going to click on this test site. So as you can see, this test site is very overwhelming. There's a lot going on. So we're just going to go in and quickly fix some of the things that are making it maybe a little bit overwhelming or unusable, and hopefully give you some ideas of also features that you can utilize if you're not currently utilizing them. So first of all, this is our homepage. So this is something to consider, that this is the page that your employees are seeing as soon as they enter your SharePoint intranet. That means that it's the most important part of your SharePoint intranet. This is where everything should be easily accessible, where if people are joining on phone, they should be able to quickly click on something and be able to access it. And it should also just be really easy to navigate and go through. So as you can see, there's just a lot going on here. Not really sure. There's not really like an even flow. There's a weird survey right here. The upcoming events are up here. It's really nonsensical. We're going to go through and actually click edit. And first, on a format level, just go into how we create considerations that influence our users in a positive way to make them want to use our site. So first of all, scrolling down here, when we see important links, this is a great way to have everything on your home page just in one place of what are the most important parts of my organization. So hypothetically, if I'm creating, let's just say that this is an HR intranet. I would want to have my HR resources right here, my leadership handbook right here, technology help. As we know, employees, especially new employees, have difficulties acclimating to a new technological environment. Team contacts are great to have here. Libraries great to have here. But what's not great is that this is so far in the bottom. If somebody's joining my intranet, they're going to have to scroll all the way down here. So a really quick way to fix that is just to use the server, go all the way up. And now I'm having my important links up here. Again, if this is how your intranet is formatted, if you have a place where everything that is essential to your organization, I would encourage just having it on the top. That way, if somebody's quickly just going through, they can easily just click that. Another important aspect I would say too, if hypothetically, if I'm doing this for my HR or for new employees, I'm going to think about things that they would want to see. And again, this is going to be subjective based on what your department needs. But for a new employee, I'm thinking, okay, they're not familiar with any of the people in my organization. So again, I'm taking into consideration the users. This should always be front of mind for you as you're creating your SharePoint intranet. What will be useful for your users? I'm going to utilize the people toolbox to actually have people in my organization that they might need to know at the top of the SharePoint intranet. So again, if you're doing something for IT, it might look different. If you're doing something for marketing, maybe instead of having people at the top, you'll have an event timeline at the top. But again, we're keeping the users top of mind. So I'm just really quickly to do that. I add the people, and I can just type in whoever from my organization, and that's our CEO. And then if I want to have the IT support, I can type him in too. These are keeping the people profiles at the very top, easy to contact. They don't have to scroll through the entire site to find it. And I can also adjust the sizing of it by clicking this drop down here, making it small, medium, or large. And I can add profile links. So hypothetically, if I have like an online site on the website, so okay, I'm putting a face to the name, I can put that in here. Or I can enter a description for the person. So again, CEO. IT support. Let's say I want to have HR. And we can see how this quickly filters to the top. I can make it smaller if I want to make it smaller and make it look cleaner. I can make it medium. I can edit the properties versus here as well. And I can move it if I feel like it's more appropriate over down. But in this way, they have easy access to who's in my actual organization. So again, if you're not already utilizing this feature, highly encourage you to do so. It's also an easy way to familiarize people with the key members of your organization. But all right, for now, after this, I think I'm going to go over to how to create an actual group calendar. Group calendars are a great way to keep key events for your organization top of mind and to clue people into what is going on in your organization. So here you can see I've already created one of upcoming events, but hypothetically, if I didn't have that or if I wanted to make it look different, from here, I'm just going to add a new section. I'm going to make this section 2 columns. And from here, I can actually exit here. If I want to move this section down, or if I want to edit it to make it 1 column, make it 1 column. But again, we're just making it spaced out a little bit so it's not as overwhelming. Go back to editing. Sorry, I accidentally clicked out. So in here in this section, if I want to add a new calendar, a new web part, I'm going to navigate below that plus sign and click Add a new web part. And for group calendar, it's right up here, frequently used. I'm just going to type group calendar. From here, it's going to show me all upcoming and past meetings. And if I want to create a meeting, let's say again, if this is for employee onboarding, I'm just going to press new meeting. It's going to navigate to my calendar. Employee onboarding session. Press save. Drop down to what calendar I want it to do, press save. And then that will appear in my create a meeting with the exact time. If I have an important event coming up, I can press plus, and I want to type in countdown. And you can actually, let's see, if I have a Halloween bash, that gives them an actual countdown. And you can add pictures, you can customize it. But again, having these sort of important countdowns, projects at the top of your intranet makes more sense because that way people don't have to scroll all the way down. You're actually making full use of your organization's intranet because you're using your intranet for what it's intended for, which is increasing employee engagement with events, making it easy for them to navigate to, and also keeping important employee news and events at top of mind. So speaking of news, let's say that your organization is going through a merger and you're trying to keep employees up to date on things that are happening within the organization in terms of that merger. I can actually go through news. I can actually add a news section. Let's say I want to make this side by side or list of important links that employees in your organization need to have access to, or just important news articles that they can go through. So I make it through here. I can make it carousel. I can edit the properties to select the sites. So again, let's say I'm just going to put in our own company website to show you how that would look like. And I can also link to other SharePoint sites. So if I have a SharePoint webinar site, if I add it in here, our team site, I can make these easily accessible. This is really effective for when you're making these segmented subsites, because then they can quickly access the team site if there's anything important and quickly go through just with one click. The other section or the other feature I want to bring to your attention in terms of increasing employee engagement are forms. A lot of people don't realize that you can actually integrate Microsoft Forms to increase employee engagement, get feedback real time. Highly encourage you to utilize this if you haven't. Let's see if I do new form. I can name my form of employee onboarding satisfaction. I select create, and it actually is going to take me to a page where I can create this form. So if I'm wanting to get feedback from new employees, which we know with retention rates and turnover rates, this is a great way to, in real time, figure out what was working with on your onboarding process. And if you have Copilot, you can utilize Copilot. For this sake, I'm just going to create one really quickly with Copilot, but you can also just do it manually. And it's going to create questions and options for me. And then here, I can press keep it, select responses, and then press send. And this is going to send to anyone in my organization that I want to fulfill the discussion. So if I want to send it, press send, it's going to appear in that person's inbox, but it's also going to appear right here on the home page. So anyone visiting the home page for the first time is going to see this form. All right, so let's talk about how to actually play around and fix key elements of your SharePoint Intranet. We've gone over some of the key features, but it still looks somewhat messy, and I want to clean it up somewhat. So let's say with the important links, I want to switch how this looks to make it look more appealing or more aesthetically appealing to the eye. When I click on the important links section from my editing toolbar, I can play around with film strip. You can see how that looks different. Grid. This one makes it sort of long. I don't know if I like that. Button. This is what we had before. List. This looks really clean. Or tiles. I like tiles because they're engaging. They draw the eye. They're my company color, so I'm going to keep it that way. It's the same for people's profiles. Again, we're taking into consideration how people are going to look scrolling through. Here, I would recommend maybe putting in a background. And again, Microsoft automatically generates these for you, just to make it look more engaging. From there, we can make it look just a little bit cleaner by fixing up the boxes. I scroll down, I see this countdown to the employee badge. This is important information that I want people in my organization to have. So that can stay. But maybe I can add a background image. And I can actually use stock images. So for here, since it's Halloween, I'm just going to type in Halloween and see what comes up. Oh, this is fun. Insert that in. Give it a moment to load. And again, look, that looks so much better. It draws the eye more. It's a lot more engaging. It's more fun. You know, especially in your employee site. I would encourage you also on the homepage, if you're on an organization where you can take things a little bit less seriously, even for the forms, if I wanted to create a form that was asking, what are you going to be dressed as for Halloween? These are ways that are breaking our employees out of the norm of what they usually see in our SharePoint Intranet, and actually drawing their eye of, oh, there's a new foreman, there's a holiday-specific foreman that I didn't see before. I'm going to click on that. That catches my eye immediately. It is a way to keep things fun, where maybe if you always update your forms, or if you always have a new event, it's something that they're immediately going through on your intranet. So that's just something to keep in mind if you want to make it more fun or more engaging. Maybe, again, break the rules of seriousness. Not everything has to be so serious. So here with news, again, if I wanted to do top story, I could switch down here just by scrolling down and having my top story here. And then maybe some previous blog posts or articles that I find relevant, I could add in here. And again, just going through and seeing what looks best or what looks cleaner. And this could be entirely based on your own organization's aesthetic or what has worked in the past. But I would encourage you just to test it out. And that's another tip that has worked for increasing in our organization, is change something entirely one day and see how that increases engagement. Because if people are using your site every single day, they're going to get bored of it. Switching something up, that could be as merely as just switching how your news or how your key documents look side by side, can be eye-catching and engage your employees in a new way. So here I'm just going to keep it for top news. My survey is here. If I want to show form results, I can show form results on the page as they come in. This one doesn't obviously have any responses yet, but if it did, it would appear here. And here we just have important links. Another key feature I did want to bring into your mind as well are highlights. Highlights are a great way, especially if you're in an organization where you're always collaborating and communicating. I would encourage you to utilize highlights to highlight key conversations I've been having, maybe from if you have rather, you should be all connected to your team site or from the latest Teams meeting. You can do all company, and this will actually generate any previous conversations or important notes from meetings that have been said. So these are obviously all just put in. But again, just considering what features are highlighting people in your organization, which again was why I encourage you to utilize aspects like the organization chart of creating, of highlighting people that maybe having an employee of the month section, or just making sure that your organization feels personable to your SharePoint intranet site. This is going to make people want to be in your site more. It's going to make them feel more connected to your site, and it's just a fun way to give people shout outs, or even to give people fun profiles. In our organization site, everyone has their own bio, everyone has their own picture, and that's of course at the bottom of the site because it's less important. But again, when people scroll through, especially new employees, it gives them a more familiar sense of people who are in our organization and their coworkers. Especially if you're somebody who's working remote, this is a great way to make people within your site feel more connected. All right, from here, I'm just going to press republish. And again, we can just see how scrolling through, adding pictures, making the key information at the top just makes it more feasible worthwhile. Obviously, this is still bare bones, but at least it's giving you the idea of how to actually get started and utilizing some of these features. One of the other key features from the homepage that I wanted to bring to your attention is our lists. So again, in our previous webinar, we went through more so how to actually create a list and how to utilize asset members specifically. But in this case, if I select new list, Microsoft actually has these really helpful pre-made templates that you can utilize. So in this case, since I'm making a pretend HR intranet, if I select the employee onboarding list, you can see that it actually automatically creates a checklist, once I press create, for employees to follow as they're beginning on with the team. So again, you can create complete by, let's say that I have trainings to do. You can do add new item, IT training. I can set a deadline. This needs to be done by week 1, after 30 days, after 60 days, after 90 days. Let's say it has to be done by week 1. If I want to put in a mentor, maybe somebody that's helping this employee with this, I can type in their email. And I can also add in any relevant files or attachments at the end. So say that there's a guideline how-to, I can attach that here. Or there's a link from our website or a vendor. You can add that in here. And that makes it easier for them to navigate through. And this makes that onboarding process more seamless. So again, you can play around, and there's a lot of different list templates that we can use, not just for employee onboarding. We did a great one with asset management. So if you're on more of the technical side and you need to keep track of assets or devices, Microsoft actually already automates that for you as well. And that's just as simple as uploading an Excel sheet and having everything in one place. Another fun aspect of SharePoint that you may not already be using are plans. Plans are a great way to keep your team on track with goals in an engaging and organized way. So say I want to keep track for my marketing team tracking. I learn how to type. And I press create. Plans are a great way to create tasks. If I create a task, gather KPIs, and I want to set a due date. Let's say I want that due by the 8th. and I can assign it to whoever in my organization I want working on it. And it makes it fun because you can actually see as you're going which tasks have been completed, which you have left, or which you're in progress of in a really engaging and visual way. You can also pre-schedule ones just by creating add task. And again, through here, you can see all your completed tasks. So again, if I finish this one and I press complete, that's actually going to show my completed tasks. And it just adds a sense of accomplishment again to those in your organization, and it's keeping everything on one place, especially for major projects. And again, I find this especially useful in regards to events and marketing. It just makes it really simple for them to keep everything in one place. Another great aspect are spaces. This is actually a newer SharePoint Intranet feature. We actually might do a full webinar just on spaces in the future, so I'm not going to go too much into it. But let's say that you are your company is rather an employee workspace, or your company's location is really important to your organization's identity. So let's say this is senior services rooms. You can just put your space description, and based on how the actual space is formatted, this actually creates a 3D rendering of that space. So if I press create, and again, it's really bare bone because it's just creating the environment. But once you go through, you can add in your own images through the 62er. So let's say that your building is huge and you're and a new employee wants to see where things are in your, well, now it's freaking out, in your company. Spaces are a great way to you could give your employees a tour of your main points of your building. You could design it. And again, it does take some time because you have to add in your own 3D rendering. But if you have the time for it, and that is something that makes sense for your organization, play around with it and see if people find it worthwhile. Again, Microsoft just generated this fake one for us. But you can imagine your actual organization's building and offices within SharePoint Spaces, which is a lot of fun. If you guys want us to do a full webinar just on Spaces, happy to do that. Just let me know. But the thing I wanted to go through is just analytics. This is the last thing I'm going to go through today in terms of just how to actually track who is utilizing your CTAs or utilizing your buttons. So if you're not currently reviewing the average time spent per user or your page viewers or just page traffic, this could be one of the key ways of identifying the gaps in your intranet, or what's working or what's not working within your organization. So again, just like anything, just like you track your website, track how much time your employees are spending, which pages are generating the most usage, which pages need some work, and that can be a way of consistently improving and identifying how you can edit your page or fix your page or keep your page the same for your organization. All right, from here, I'm just going to pause really quickly for questions. I know that was, again, a lot of stuff all at once. Key points of just making it easy to flow through, keeping it simple, highlighting important aspects of your organization. If you're not already utilizing employee charts, add members of your organization. They're a lot of fun. Maybe make people make fun biographies and add fun pictures and make it more personable. But again, it's going to be subjective to whatever you're trying to do within your department. But utilizing images, utilizing brand colors, keeping font consistent throughout,